And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Friday morning showing some IFR here along the Arctic coast into the North Slope and then south of the Brooks Range. VFR here for the remainder of the mainland Alaska area. It extends out over the northern Bering Sea, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, much of the Gulf of Alaska and the Panhandle. But out to the west, next system pushing some IFR into the far western Aleutians. That advances eastward to Adak and Atka for tomorrow afternoon. No change here over the interior. VFR, Kodiak Island, North Gulf Coast, right on up to the Brooks Range. And you got that band of IFR with that disturbance in front passing eastward there along the to the eastern Arctic coast into the Brooks Range. And then for the Saturday morning time, we're looking at VFR here for the southeast coast, maybe some marginal VFR there near Prince of Wales Island. Otherwise, some moisture sliding southward here brings IFR up over the eastern portions of the upper Yukon Valley area down in toward the mountainous terrain here near Eagle, actually toward Eagle and southward a little bit there. But Tanana Valley stays VFR as well as the Alaska Range and the remainder of the mainland here. Still pretty good conditions over the northern Bering Sea, down along the southwest coast. Some marginal VFR trying to push in, or does push into the Alaska Peninsula. Then a couple of bands of IFR farther out to the west. And then for the afternoon, those two areas kind of join, and we've got some IFR, a pretty good zone there, edging in toward Adak. Marginal VFR to the east along the north side of the Alaska Peninsula there, and a little bit of marginal VFR, Kuskokwim Bay, back out toward the Pribilofs there, probably, and then here, St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait, a little marginal VFR, otherwise good VFR now, our North Slope on down across southern Alaska. And for the passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, possible IFR tomorrow, especially on the northern entrance of both passes. Better conditions south, and for Lake Clark and Merrill, the entire Alaska Range, VFR for the day on Friday. Rainy, windy, Isabel and Mentasta, good VFR, all those passes, as well as Tanita there through the Manuska Valley eastward toward Anchorage, VFR. Portage, VFR, and either approach and Chilkoot and White, good VFR. Freezing levels here, well south into the south of the Gulf of Alaska, 2,000 feet that is, and the surface not too far behind. But out here to the west with upper level high pressure, warmer air aloft, we've got 6,000 feet there over the eastern Bering Sea, Nunivak Island, kind of ridging down toward the Alaska Peninsula. And icing, not too much in the way of any significant icing, possible threat of some isolated light or isolated moderate rime icing here for the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. And then also up here over the North Slope and Arctic coast of that system passing eastward there. And that's about it, icing-wise. So moving on to the jet stream. Main jet here about 80 knots, blowing in across the central and southern panhandle with the main jet core down to the south or off to the east there. Big area of high pressure at this elevation here over the northern Bering Sea. So a broad area of northwest winds, 70 knots there coming from the Chukchi Sea down into the central interior, but much lighter on down to the south. Then we've got a low here just south of the, or near the Aleutians here, so some southeast winds there, but not very strong. So coming down to 9,000 feet, high pressure at this elevation, right over the Yukon Delta, flow around that anywhere from 40 or 35 to 45 knots. And light wind flow in the Gulf and the northern panhandle. Westerlies cutting across Dixon Entrance, maybe up to 40 knots there. And 3,000 feet, looking at southeast winds at this elevation, up to 55 knots here coming into the eastern Aleutians, and about 40 knots there for the eastern Bering Sea. High pressure right over south central Alaska. And we've got pretty light winds here for the interior. And then as this low tracks eastward there across the Arctic Ocean, maybe some 30-knot winds out of the west for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, more of a north direction on the central coast there. And taking a look at turbulence, some mechanical moderate turbulence Pretty good chance of seeing that for Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, northern panhandle there back toward Yakutat. Also here for the Alaska Peninsula to the eastern Aleutians. Otherwise up to the north, light to Haisley and moderate turbulence possible for the eastern Arctic coast.